Hi, I'm Sebastian with BillionaireBlogs.net, and I'm joined with Elijah and
Tim Wong from Nvidia.
well, nice to meet you, Tim. Would you like to explain us what we have behind us?
Sure. So you're seeing a Tesla Model S here. This is actually a brand spanking new car. We picked it up from the factory last week, Wednesday. Starting in late October, every Tesla Model S, Model X, and the upcoming Model 3s has an Nvidia AI car computer inside. And this is to basically help it drive autonomously. The sensor suite has been heavily upgraded. There are now 8 cameras that overlap and surround the car. There are 12 ultrasonic sensors that also surround the car, and there's a front-mounted radar as well. And with all those sensors coming into our AI car computer, we're helping Tesla essentially understand the surroundings around the car and drive safely.
And so for the car, do you guys build the processor that kind of takes all this information and processes it, or are you behind the sensors and the cameras in the car?
So we have an AI car platform, so it starts with hardware, and we have a reference design that Tesla took and modified, ripped out what they didn't need, and changed the mounting holes to put it at a certain place, to figure out their own cooling. We also have our autonomous OS, driving OS. It's called DriveWorks, that basically takes you through the whole autonomous driving path. Sensor processing, sensor correlation, sensor fusion, localization, path planning, actuator control. And basically what happens is we give that foundation to all our customers, and then they build on it.
Okay.
But we can also talk about some of the AIs we're showing. That there's the cockpit AI that Jensen announced in the keynote, and this is having, if you are driving the car, we want the autonomous software to still be running. Even though it's not driving the car, it can help you drive. And as an example, we have a front-facing camera, a driver monitoring camera that's looking at you, but it actually knows where you're looking, where your head's looking. And so imagine you're looking off to the left at a billboard, but a pedestrian's about to step out on the right. The car knows you don't see it, and it's detecting everything all the time. So it'll say, by the way, there's a pedestrian about to step out. And where that's interesting is that right now, the detection systems in the cars warn you regardless of whether you're paying attention or not. And so, for better or worse, I tailgate, and I'm always getting yelled at that I'm falling too close. But I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing it on purpose. And so what happens is it's too much information. I start ignoring those warnings. So now, with an AI looking at you, kind of knowing where you're looking, knowing everything around the car, you can have meaningful messages. So when I really do get a warning, it's probably something I have to pay attention to, because the one we're showing up on the video wall is a motorcycle is coming up behind you and is about to pass you. And a lot of times if you don't look in your rearview mirror that often, you'll get startled. And I've seen people kind of stutter in the lane. Yeah. And this, it'll say, it knows you haven't looked in the rearview mirror in the last 30 seconds. It knows the motorcycle's coming up. It'll say, motorcycle about to pass you on your right. So the whole point is it acts as a co-pilot. Yeah. It knows what's going on. It's paying attention in all directions, and it can help you drive. The other thing we're showing is right now voice recognition is okay. Yeah. My kids actually like to say things just to see what it's going to think it is, because it never gets it right. Yeah. What we found is lip reading is actually a really interesting way to do it instead, that you can teach a computer through with deep learning and AI. The best human lip reader is about 52% accurate. The computer, with lots of millions of examples, is able to get to 92%. The interesting part of using lip reading to discern what the driver's saying is that if I'm not a native English speaker, if I have a Japanese person speaking English, a French person speaking English, to us and even to computers, that's kind of hard. But your lips actually form the words the same way. Yeah. So I'm actually able, with a very high confidence, to understand. So if the driver is actually giving a command to the computer, to the AI car, we want to make sure the AI car understands it. So we're using lip reading as well.
Do you think it'll kind of take lip reading and voice recognition
Absolutely.
And put them together?
That's right. You want to do both. But the nice thing is, if you wind your windows down, if you have a convertible, if you have kids in the back seat fighting with each other, it'll still understand you. But you definitely want both, just so you have high confidence. The other one that's kind of interesting is we have facial recognition. This isn't for security. It's not going to replace the key. But what it is going to do is, if I get in the car and say in the morning I want to sit more upright, but in the evening when I get in the car I kind of recline back because I'm chilling, I'm going home, it'll actually understand that and adjust it. But the preferences of the car, whether it be radio stations, seat control, seat heaters, what your gauge and clusters look like, my wife gets in the car, it'll reset for her. No more pushing these buttons, remembering, I'm one, you're two, you're three, and my fourth driver is left out in the cold. the facial recognition will just understand who the driver is, understand what they typically do by time of day, by situation, and just auto adjust. So that's all the AIs kind of we're showing on the co-pilot side. On the right video, we're showing a car with 6 cameras. Basically, I've got one front camera, I've got 2 corner cameras for high-speed cross traffic, I've got 2 rear cameras for passing and lane changing, and then 1 rear camera. And it's doing, I get in the car and I say, I want to go to Starbucks, and in San Mateo, and it plots a route and starts driving, and you're seeing all the different AIs that are working simultaneously in the car for auto driving. There's an AI that's recognizing signs like stop signs. There's an AI that's recognizing traffic lights, because it actually does see a green light and understands it can just go through it. It identifies lanes, it detects the cars around it. It understands things like I got to slow down for a turn, but because it's an on-ramp, whereas I get out of that turn, as I go uphill, I need to accelerate, because by the time I get to the top of the hill, I need to be at freeway speed. And you see the car essentially drive itself to Starbucks. But we use a lot of high-res map data. When we get off the freeway, we know that we don't have high-res map data, so the car actually knows its limits and that it can't drive safely, so it'll tell you before you get off, in 1 mile I'm going to need you to take over, in a half mile I need you to take over, please take over the car, and then it confirms that you're steering and braking and things, and then it releases control to you. So, but it's a really great testimonial of people who are saying that autonomous cars are very far away. We're showing you it driving right now. And then lastly, in the gold lot, which is out if you go out the North Hall, turn right, go up the escalator and out to the gold parking lot, you'll see we actually have an autonomous car running. That it's kind of cool that you're sitting in the back. There's no one in the driver's seat, and it's going around a course that has a nice marked road. Then it has a dirt road. Then it has a grassy road, and then to make it complicated, we throw out a construction detour, and it actually has to take a detour when it sees that. So, but there's no one in the driver's seat. It's doing it all itself.
That's very cool. Very cool software. Any questions?
One last thing. How do you think it compares to other systems out there or upcoming systems?
So we like to think that we're the best, but it's really, I'm not seeing a lot of fully autonomous systems out there. For us, it's all about the AIs, that I'm going to have multiple different AIs running simultaneously. The nice thing about our platform is, we have our roots in gaming. In gaming, you have a lot of these cores, we call them CUDA cores, and the reason you have so many is some are controlling your hair, some are controlling the lighting, some are controlling the water texture, all for a very realistic gaming experience. But what we've found is those cores, which we have thousands of them, are really good to do arithmetic operations and AI. So just like I want to have some cores doing the lane keeping, some cores doing the object tracking, some cores doing the facial recognition, I can partition this out and have a massively parallel system. So it's a very easy transplant from gaming to autonomous cars.
Thank you.
And then also, what do you think about people who are real car nuts and they feel like that self-driving cars are going to kind of take away the I guess joy and fun of being able to drive a car? Do you think, for example, if you wanted to take this Tesla out to a track, would you be able to turn off all of this high-end AI software so that it's just you in the car?
So you're talking to one of those people. I have a 1989 Lotus Esprit Turbo that I take on the racetrack regularly. There's no way I'm going to make that autonomous. I like being on the track. I like being on clean pavement with drivers who know what they're doing. Again, figuring out a track and figuring out the best line through it. So the hope is, yes, I want that. But at the same time, I have a commute that's 45 miles in heavy traffic. Yeah. It can take up to 2 hours each way. I don't need to be doing that. I need the car to be doing that, and I can work, I can sleep more. It's silly. Traffic, especially heavy traffic on a freeway, I can teach my 11-year-old how to do that. Stop, hold on to the brake, but let go and move with the car in front. But stay in your lane, don't let people in. I mean, it's pretty basic. So the hope is autonomous cars just gives people freedom. My mom, she's 82, she can't drive at night or in the rain. Autonomous cars gives her freedom to go wherever she wants to go. So the hope is, and then the last one's traffic fatalities. There's no reason someone falling asleep at the wheel going in oncoming traffic and killing themselves and other people. That doesn't need to happen anymore. Yeah. Car knows where it needs to go. It knows to stay away from those areas. If you're falling asleep, the car's either going to take over or pull to the side. we need to get rid of those traffic fatalities.